welcome back to another episode of the Dirt X Show, hosted here on the Dirt Exhibition YouTube channel. Today we have our second guest on the Dirt X Show, who I've come to know through Marketplace, Razor Parts, the whole thing, and we actually just raced in Maine not too long ago for Blizzardcross 2023. And so the biggest thing that we're going to dive into on this episode is New England racing, because I feel like there's a lot of people on the fence about racing their side-by-side, specifically in New England. So let's welcome John Brussard. John, how you doing?
Good.
Let's dive into, so Blizzardcross. How did you find out about Blizzardcross, number one? Because where do people find these races?
I find that to be probably the hardest part of all this, is finding the races, because there is actually a lot of racing. And now that I'm like looking into it more and more, it's like, oh my God, you can find something every month. But just Facebook, people sharing stuff and the events and stuff like that on Facebook, and I've begun to follow a lot of the local tracks and stuff like that that just post and like, hey, we'll have a side-by-side event and stuff like that this day. And then like the Blizzardcross, I believe there's like a group who actually rented the track and hosted the Blizzardcross.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's getting increasingly popular because all these tracks that are already existing are kind of, we'll put it this way, side-by-sides are getting more and more popular, especially over like the past 4 or 5 years, you know? Like when they first came out, it was super expensive in relation to a dirt bike or a four-wheeler. It was a big investment to get into side-by-sides, so not a lot of people had them, and there weren't a lot of good used machines in the market yet because they were pretty new. No one had been selling them. But now that, you know, side-by-sides, and when I say side-by-sides, I mean more like the really like competitive machines, like around the 2016 area when the first turbo came out. That's when like sports side-by-sides became a real big thing. Before that, you know, they were cool, but they didn't have huge horsepower. It was more like a trail kind of thing. But now that we're in 2023, some of those 16, 17, 18 machines have since been totaled, as you know, because you said you deal a lot with Copart. I feel like more people now have access to them because you can buy a machine relatively cheap today, used, to race and to do that type of stuff, versus, again, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you're spending 30 grand, 40 grand on a machine just to beat the hell out of it.
You can buy a retired race machine for like 15 grand today.
Yeah, a good one too.
Yeah, like a nice setup RS1 or a nice setup XB, like they're out there for 15 grand, which I know is a good chunk of coin, but it's not horrible compared to today. I mean, buy a Pro R, spend 40 grand, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So
that opens the door for people, and that gives, again, more people the opportunity to get involved with it. And because more people are getting involved with it, that's what I was saying. I think more tracks now are starting to do side-by-side days, and they're trying to incorporate side-by-side racing into that circuit because it's a whole nother area, a whole nother market, another opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I did talk to pretty much most of the track people, and the side-by-sides are definitely growing, and they're starting to see that we're also very respectful. I think a lot of racing brings a bad crowd, and the side-by-side guys seem to be respectful. We got thanked like every track we went to for being super nice and not leaving trash and stuff like that. So I think the owners are starting to see that we're not bad people and partying, because I mean that's what side-by-sides were. Like you said, when they came out, it was just trailer riding, people doing stuff they shouldn't have, and people are starting to take it serious, and they're starting to get really fast. Machines are starting to get really, really fast. So.
Yeah, and they can actually handle some of the freaking tracks. Like we raced in Wareham, right? Right. Cape Way. We raced Cape Way. Like, when was that, dude? Like,
it was like the first time they did a side-by-side race.
Yeah, and we're in the 2016 turbo, like bone stock, like just had audio in it. We were listening to freaking Motley Crue do the whole race.
That's awesome.
With a co-driver. That was that was a wild event, but that track was really set up for dirt bikes and ATVs, you know. So there was a double there that like 7 machines rolled on. It was wild. It was a really good time, but that's what, like you said, that's kind of like when they started to get fast and when you started to see the tracks opening up for that stuff. So
what was the first race that you went to that weekend?
I did Proving Grounds on Saturday,
and they had what was that like?
That was a oh my God, obstacle course race.
Okay,
so that was fun. That was the first time I ever done one of those. That was the most fun race I've ever done.
Really?
It's everything. So you get mud, water, jumps, snow, everything.
Wow, that's wild.
It was fast, and there was a lot of machines. I was super hyped to see the turnout there. I mean, there's 20-some machines there, so it was impressive. And another thing, just to touch on the machines, is it doesn't matter about your machine, because the guy who won that was in a stock Turbo XB, and there was a nasty Can-Am, big horsepower Can-Am there. That it's if you can drive, that's all it comes down to with these machines. So. If people would get discouraged because they got a trail machine, you can race a trail machine and do well, like really well, if you can drive it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, the people who watch the channel and watch the show have seen my Pro XP, which I put a lot of work into. But again, I'm a beginner when it comes to racing. So we'll talk the Blizzardcross and what that experience was like. But I feel like there's a difference between trail riding and going up north and spending the entire day riding trails and then racing. And even in that one experience, I feel like I learned a lot of lessons and saw how people are setting up their machines and what they're doing and what they're not doing. And so yeah, for sure. So proving grounds, how'd that work out for you?
I only got one race. So with endurance races, it's a very short track. Maybe less than a minute you're doing your track time. So it's a very short track, very fast and very aggressive. I got in my head and I ran it too hard and broke control arm in half, which you guys pretty much came to save me for the rescue for that. And so I only got my one qualifier. I got third place on that just with my one lap. So I got really lucky. I at least laid down a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then, so you weren't able to finish, obviously.
I still got third place because you submit your time, your fastest time across the day.
Really?
But my time was still with my broken control arm. I still was able to run the third fastest time of the day.
That was sweet.
Yeah. So then I remember you posting online about how you were looking for either somebody to get you some parts or find a shop to go, weld it together. And how did that work out for you?
Power of Facebook, man. I found a guy named Ben, Limitless Performance. He was like, hey, I got a welder, man. He was 3 hours or 2.5 hours away from where we were. We drove there that night, welded a jack handle and some angle iron, and then went and raced the Blizzardcross, and it held up the whole time.
Are you guys going to start fabricating long travel kits now?
Yeah. Harbor Freight jack handles, man.
Jack handles, yeah.
It was bad too. We tried everything to bend it back. He owns a towing company. We legitimately had a brand new wrecker with the back of the wrecker right up against my wheels with the winch on it, and it was like pulling my wheel. The tire was all the way touching the rim. It was compressing so hard. This arm would not bend up. So then I cut like 3 slices in it with an angle grinder. Still wouldn't bend. We were hammering out, heating it up, trying everything, and I was like, man, we're gonna have to cut this thing completely off and make a control arm. And we did, and it lasted the whole race. And Blizzardcross was not easy.
Which I feel like you always talk about, like control arms and the parts of or the steering components of the Turbo S. And axles and everything, and it just goes to show you how, I guess, well built the Turbo S is. I mean, stock, but the stock stuff's not bad.
In my opinion, dude, the Turbo S is easily one of the best built machines. Like, I've had a lot of machines, and I've gone through a lot of axles, a lot of shit, dude. I think I've gone through 2 control arms on my Turbo S, but I have 3,100 miles on my machine. I'm still on the stock axles.
I'm also on the stock axles.
Stock axles, dude. That's wild.
The Turbo S arm, I don't think would have ever failed, except they have their one design flaw, and it's where yours has been, is the same place mine been, and they have a weird kink factory in the arm, and I almost think they do that so the arm will bend and
before
the frame will not.
Yeah.
Yes,
yep.
Because the arms are really, really thick on the Turbo S. Like if you compare an XP arm, it's like a joke.
That's why I bought my Turbo S.
Yeah.
So like I got a 2019, and at the time there was only 2 machines. It was another XP Turbo, or it was a Turbo S. And I'm like, man, 72, it's kind of wide for what we do because I like driving on the trails. And when you looked at the machines side by side, like you said, it's a huge difference in just the diameter of the tubing, the arms, the way it's constructed. The Turbo S was just so much better built, and I bought it. And I mean, the thing's been great to me ever since. I like the seating position. I really like the Turbo S compared to some of the new stuff. But
I was always XP chassis. I was like, I mean, I've owned probably 25 Turbo XPs, right? And I'm like, thought I'd never give it up because I loved it so much, and I'm 100% sold on the Turbo S chassis. Like, it's awesome. It's killer. You are 100% right in everything you said. It's on any side-by-side frame and chassis, in my opinion.
It's so nimble, because like the Pro XP is obviously a great machine. It's the next generation, but it's 6 inches longer. The wheelbase is 6 inches longer. So like the Turbo S, man, that machine, you can be going so fast. You can pitch that thing into any turn. Like when I went to West Virginia for the first weekend, there's these huge S turns, like hard bends in some of the trails we were riding. We were riding Pocahontas trail system. I think we went to Rock House. I don't know if you've been to West Virginia, if you're familiar with it, but yeah, dude, I was just like going way too fast pitching that, and I was coming out of an XP Turbo, and I'm like, man, this thing is it's nimble, dude. It's a really nice machine.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think I'll be able to ever give it up.
I want to get in a Pro R or even a Turbo R. I haven't really driven one yet. Those are also, when you look at the arms, they're
boxed.
They're beefy, dude.
Yeah,
those are
boxed
nice.
It's almost like HDR stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
But-
what I'm thinking about doing on mine is, so I ordered I got L&W rears already, and then now I have L&W fronts. I ordered them the day I had broke mine, but I'm thinking about going boxed and complete long travel. I'm up in the air. Suspension seems pretty expensive to do it. I mean, it's about 7 G's, I believe, 6 to 7 grand to do it all, but it does look worth it. But then I also get scared is like bracing the frame and stuff like that. I did have a lot of frame issues on my old XP. I bent it many times, not crashing it, just riding it hard. I cracked the frame in the middle. So the Turbo S frame is definitely thicker of a frame, but I'm still worried that it's going to begin to fold if you start putting heavier components that don't break.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the XP chassis, and I think the Turbo S is the same way, is the frames in sections.
Yes.
You can actually replace frame sections.
Yeah.
Whereas like that was a big thing when Polaris was marketing the new like the Pro XP. They're like, oh, it's all welded frame. There's no bolts. It's more rigid. It's stronger. But the way it breaks, I almost don't mind being able to unbolt the chunk of it.
You can unbolt it right at the dash, right? And it slides out.
Yeah. So I think it's 3 pieces. We should know because we powder coated that Connor's freaking
No, it did.
XP, but
It does. So Blizzardcross 23, you found out about it, and that's actually I found out about it because of you. So
Yeah.
you hit me up, like, hey, dude, we're gonna be racing in Maine, and I'm like, you know what, dude, why not? Why not? Like I kind of wanted to get some more seat time and maybe do some races this year, and then so I'm like, yeah, let's hit up Maine, let's go for it. And I knew it was gonna be cold, it's gonna be wet, snowy, and rainy, and the whole thing, and it was. But yeah, so Turbo S, really good machine to race with. What did you think of Blizzardcross?
I had a blast. The track first heat was awesome. It was the perfect mix between, you probably agree with it, was a perfect mix between slippery and traction.
Yeah.
So you could send it hard in the corners and then come out in the straightaways and still have the traction to get down and lay a good time.
Yeah, I do feel like I wish there was a couple, some more straightaways. Like I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more, picked up some more speed, and even the jumps, like the biggest jumper on the back of that course, like. So when we did the test run or the site lap, I kind of was like, I want to see how I can hit this. So I kind of overshot it just to see. And when I did overshoot it, I couldn't stop in time for the turn.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have sent it off that jump and had enough room or enough space to be able to slow down and hit that next turn.
It seems like the race guys say they actually put the jumps there to slow you down.
Exactly.
They don't do it. Yeah, it's to keep the speed low.
Which makes sense. I get it, but I would have loved to have hit that jump a little better.
No, I 100% agree. The jump along the back straightaway, I was clearing that jump clean.
Yep.
And so that was probably what, 30-foot table maybe. That was a smaller jump and stuff like that. But it was, yeah, I know what you mean. The last jump at the starting line was probably the jump I hated the most because you just landed flat every single time. It hurt.
So let's give people listening an idea of what the race was. So I would say about half the track was maybe, definitely more than half, but I don't know, 3/4 of it at the actual track and then another quarter of it woods.
Yeah, so it was, I'd agree. 3/4 MX and then quarter woods.
And so slippery snow. I feel like and we did 2 races, right?
Yep.
2 heats and half hour each.
Yeah,
So how many laps? I mean, I don't know,
you're
8,
just driving
9.
for a half hour. I feel like that's long, dude.
Yeah,
dude.
it was. I
That's
mean,
a long
it
time.
goes,
I
but
was hurting. It was cold.
for sure, and it was
And-
cold. It wasn't like nice weather, good dirt, nothing like that. I mean, we were slipping and sliding everywhere. Traction was not good.
I really wish someone took a picture of me after because I'm not afraid to chase someone hard, and so I had roost, dude,
Covered.
head to toe,
Yep.
dripping, and I lost my gloves at proving grounds. So all I had was I have like a thin pair of Milwaukee gloves, no insulation, nothing. It's just like to keep your hands from getting dirty with tools that I keep in the tool bag, just for like when I'm doing stuff and I don't want to get dirty, and that's what I raced with. And I mean, they weren't even wet yet, and my hands were freezing, and I'm like, oh my god, this is horrible. And
I feel like that's part of Blizzardcross. It was like it's not only is it a race, but you have to deal with the course and the traction and the weather, and then you also have to deal with the fact that it's cold. So it's more like you have to go through the experience of being cold, wet, and covered in snow and mud.
Cold and snow is cool, but
that was my helmet.
oh my god.
Yeah, there was not one clean spot on my machine. Yeah.
Dude, you gotta charge your phone, dude.
And I had
I 3%.
flew home last night. I had never charged it.
Dirty clothes. We talked about that.
I got glasses obviously too, which is like a double disfault
Yep.
because like you guys who run the helmets and stuff like that, who don't have glasses. on the straightaways and stuff, there's still the puddles are still blowing in your face, you know what I mean, off the machine and stuff like that. But it's not bad, so you guys can flip up and just blink your eyes and like squinch and stuff, and you're good to go. I don't. I got shield that gets covered in dirt, and then I open my shield and my glasses get covered in dirt. So like I run my shield cracked like this and tilt my head down just so I can see how it's tough. It's really gets hard.
For your glasses.
I run a full containment helmet. I don't run like goggles or anything.
No, I'm saying you got to tear us for your glasses. Dude.
Oh yeah,
like just two little individual ones.
So it's like I had I always race with a microfiber on my console to wipe my glasses while I'm racing because even like if it's summer day they get super dusty. So like I'm always just so used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't even think we were on lap 2. This thing was like wasted. I had nothing left to clean it. So then I was using my shirt, and then my gloves, and I was just running out of things to clean. And then finally at the end, I got my glasses clean, and I was like, I'm gonna have to keep the shield down. So like through the whole wood section, which you remember, dude, it was like a swamp on that second heat. So I would go through there blind with all these trees, wider machine than anyone else there too. So the trail, like I was making my own trail almost, and pray for I didn't hit anything.
It was hard, yeah, because same thing here. Like visibility was horrible. We're covered in mud, and we were getting soaked. And I call him my co-driver. I had him with a microfiber towel, and I'd be like, "Dude, clean my goggles," and he'd like wipe them. And eventually, after a few laps, we were just so saturated in mud that it just wasn't working. So visibility was horrible. Like you had said, I couldn't see ruts. I couldn't see anything. I just saw like kind of the trail and where we were going, and then I was just kind of just running with it, and then hoping that which sucks. You kind of don't want to do that, but you have to deal with it.
Hey, I gotta give you credit. I think you were the only person that entire race that did not crash.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, he was. I think out of everyone, he was the only person who never crashed.
Probably because I could have ran my machine a little harder.
Yeah,
but I was really focused on not crashing. Actually, you know what? I did. I almost did, and it was close. Like so, when we made the turn to come off the track into the woods, I would always two laps. I overshot that, and I freaking stopped right in front of a tree.
I hit the tree on the right side.
Yeah. So I came close to hitting the tree, and then I backed up, and then I had to go. And so twice. So much so, I actually have a video of it, and maybe I'll include it in this video. But when we came around for the third lap, we cleared it, and we went through, and Colin and I are like, yeah, like we screaming, like. Like no shit, we went through it. So huge lesson for me. So you weren't running. There was one person with a full windshield, which I would never have done.
No.
But I always run a half windshield when I'm doing trail riding and stuff like that, just because I like to have that there, but I can still see over it. Knowing what I know now, I would have done what you guys were doing, and I would have done no windshield at all because it got so muddy that again I needed to see the course and I couldn't see it at all.
Yeah, the no windshield is. I love a windshield, man. Obviously, everyone loves staying dry.
Yeah.
But even there was that one guy had a glass windshield with a wiper. It's still the mud's just too thick. You can't keep up with it.
I would have rather have gotten covered with the mud and just rolled right through it than and still being able to see because visibility was huge in that race, and it was bad
for sure.
I wish I raced. I'm really bummed out now.
You have to. Well, here's the thing.
You would have tore your machine up, though. That's the thing.
You would have tore up the machine, but I know you and I know how you race, and you would have been one of those people that crashed off the car.
Dude.
My crashes, I got lucky. All my crashes were super minor.
Yeah.
Turbo Mike rolled over. Our buddy with the talent, he rolled over each race.
Yes.
And so this is another thing I wanted to talk with. My one thing I want to talk with you guys about is co-pilot, no co-pilot, and your opinions on that. But he had no co-pilot, so he had to winch himself out, and you're not allowed to help. There's no assistance in the racing. Any of these endurance racing, you're if you have a co-pilot, you got a co-pilot. If you are one by you're by yourself. So he's out there, got winches to trees and snatch blocks, and he got himself rolled over each race, though. But,
dude, that's wild, man. That's why. I mean, I've only raced a handful of times. I've always had a co-driver. Usually it's Brendan. I prefer to have somebody with me. Obviously, some people will get all upset about the weight and all the bullshit, but dude,
I like the co-driver personally. My girlfriend will race co-driver with me, and she's awesome, and I really like that. And you definitely got to be careful with the weight though, because you got the gas tank on that side. So I make out pretty good because my girlfriend's 100 pounds, and then I got my fuel, so she matches my weight almost perfect. But
didn't Chris say he only races with a co-driver?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the way to go, because if you get stuck, you're on your own. And again, it's 20 degrees out. These machines weigh 1,800, 2,000 pounds. You're by yourself. You're cold. Your hands hurt. and you got to figure yourself out, or you're stuck on the side of the trail. I mean, look at Mike. You saw where he rolled in the bend where I almost crashed into the back of you that one time. He was rolled on a complete, really sharp bend. So
that was the worst corner.
Like he could have rolled it. So it was tough. And I mean, there's a gate here. He's rolled over here. You're coming up really fast to make this turn, and there's a massive snowbank on the other side. So he broke the way, luckily, in front of me and covers me. But he had come up to Mike first, and he made the trail to the snowbank. It was a struggle. I didn't even think you were going to make it through that. I mean, he was floored and like shooting a wicked roost. But
there was no way to get through. It was just like, we're going to go up over the snowbank. We got to keep moving.
And Mike's just sitting there on the side of the trail, sitting on a rock. He doesn't have anyone to help him. You know what I mean? So I do think running a co-pilot in an endurance races is a huge advantage. On the MX track, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I rolled one time when I raced, and I was by myself that time. You weren't there. That was, I think, the second time we raced at Cape Way. And we had a good practice lap. We came out for the first heat, and there was like 3 or 4 of us running pretty tight. And we were coming into a corner. We were sliding in, and I bumped my rear tire up against somebody else. So like we went bump, and I blew the high gear out of my transmission. So it was just like boom, and I had nothing. It was like free spinning. It was a neutral. And all of a sudden, some dude's coming around the corner. We're all hauling ass, and he stuffed the back of my XP, like bent the frame, pushed the bumper in. He ended up cracking my intercooler. I couldn't get the thing to go. I'm like, dude. So I'm sitting there starting, drive, reverse, nothing. Finally, I get it to bite in reverse. We moved in reverse. I put it in high, nothing, low, and I could go. So I'm in low now. Things revving to the moon. I'm trying to finish. I'm coming around the corner. There was some guy rolled over, and him and his co-driver were trying to roll himself back over. And I swung around him tight, and I ended up rolling on my side.
That was the thing that screwed you, is when you came around the corner, that machine was flipped over, and it forced you to take a weird line.
Yeah.
And then when you tried to correct it and bring it back,
we had it on video. We had a pretty good photo,
shitty.
but it was just, I remember I flipped on my side. I'm like, shit, dude, unbuckle. I like look real quick, because that's my biggest fear, is you're like halfway out of the machine and somebody smokes you. So I jumped out, and you can hear the audience too, because I'm trying to flip the machine over by myself. It was just up on its side, but on a little bit of a berm. So I'm like picking it up, and it's like 4, 5, 6 inches off the ground. Everyone's like, ah! I'm just like, look at me falls. And then 2 guys that were actually, they were just guys running the track. They came running over. They flipped me back over, and I ended up finishing the race in low. It wasn't a very good race, obviously, but that was the last time I raced, and that was just because, again, you slide into somebody. The thing was smoking. I'm like, what's going on? And I ended up ultimately just being the intercooler, which wasn't a big deal. But my bumper actually got the back bumpers on like the XP frame where they bolt right to the frame rail, like kind of around the exhaust. It got pushed into the intercooler, and it yeah, and it just you got the 2 coolant lines going into it, and it was just you almost couldn't even see it, but it bent one a little bit, and I straightened it out, and I was smoking. I'm like, I don't know what the hell it is, and I'm smelling like, man, it smells like coolant. I started going online. Everyone says the intercooler's cracked. So I popped it out, and it is what it is.
We should probably say now, as we're sitting here talking about all of us destroying our machines.
Yeah.
There's pro class and there's amateur class.
This is good.
We are all talking about pro class.
Yeah.
It's a lot more aggressive. Amateur class, you got 900 S's, 1000 XPs, anything that's NA. You cannot run a turbo, unfortunately, in the amateur class. But any of you NA guys don't have to go through this abuse that we're talking about. Yeah. So we should probably clarify that before we scare some people away with this.
That race that I got messed up, there was a kid, I forget his name, but he was from I think he was from Connecticut. He was in a 1000 XP, and the kid could drive, and he travels around. He was pretty well known, and he broke his one of the mounts for I think his front sway bar. It was either his front or his rear sway bar. And he was over there f***ing with it. He's like, I'm just going to have to take it off. And I'm like, oh, dude, I have mounts. Like, I just happen to have them from something because I think I went with box control arms on the front of my XP, and they didn't have mounts for the sway bar, so I just went without it. And I'm like, oh, dude. He's like, oh, that'd be awesome. I got it. I gave it to him. He never even put it in. He still ripped the sway bar out and just kept the link. I'm like, dude, it was kind of like a friendship thing. Like a friend, like, hey, yeah, you want to keep racing? Here you go. Keep racing.
Yeah, dude, you want a control arm? Here's a control arm.
He's like, no, I'll just take it home.
I mean, it helps if you bring the right side.
Yeah, I know. That was the wrong side. Dude. Hey, but it's a thought that counts, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, so like after I did that, I had messaged him, and we were like shooting the shit for a minute, and then I like went back and unlooked, and I'm like, it's definitely the wrong side. And then I was like to him, I was like, I think he sent me he's bringing the wrong side. And then
whatever, man.
It happens.
So, have you ever been to Hemond's?
No, that was my first time.
So again, if people are listening and they're on the fence about like, hey, what's the environment like? I've never been, you've never been, but overall, I think the culture and the environment there when you show up, if it's your first time racing, is pretty cool. I think
super friendly.
Yeah, people are definitely going to help you out, and I feel like if people are watching this and you're going or we're going, like yeah, dude, don't be afraid to stop and say, hey, how do I do this or what's up? And I mean, come on, like things are pretty easy to figure out anyways. So there's always people you can stop and ask questions. So that shouldn't be an issue. Let me ask you this: because you've gotten into the side-by-side racing on top of the other racing that you do, what are some like lessons that you're kind of learning right off the bat?
Safety equipment.
Safety. So like what? Let's break that down.
So neck brace.
Yep.
Really good brand harness. None of that cheap stuff. The Amazon harnesses seem to always come loose. I've had them in a couple of machines. I like the factory Polaris harnesses in my opinion.
Ones.
Yeah, I think they're really nice. I don't even have the retractable ones. I have the
the regular ones that come with the Turbo S?
Yeah.
See, I question that because we all run Click 6 on our machines, but I don't know if those are good for racing or not because I feel like I'm moving around too much. I almost feel like if I'm in my seating position, I want to be, when I'm trail riding, I
you want to move.
Look and move, but if I'm racing, I want to be as snug as possible in
I
that
agree.
seat.
So like I said to you, every time before I race, I make sure, I pull my harnesses as tight as I can. And then I really like the Polaris harnesses only because the secondary clip up top is really tall up. Mm-hmm. And I'm really skinny. So the harnesses always tend to fall off me. And a lot of the clips are lower on other brands. So the harnesses will try to get around my shoulders. Whereas the Polaris is so high up, it's a secondary harness almost that clips me in. So I really like them. The neck brace is like not mandatory for most places. Some tracks do require it, but you got to protect your body and your back and your neck, obviously. And I like I said to them earlier, it made the world of a difference between me being sore the next day and not being sore. I run a window net because obviously a lot of people roll. Your first reaction is stick your hand out the window. So the window net keeps you from doing something dumb when you don't mean to.
Some people require window nets, don't they?
I think almost every track requires a window net because of the rollovers. I mean, it's reaction. You're falling, you stick your arm out, but you're falling at 60 miles an hour is a different game than falling when you're going around a trail at 20. So you got to keep yourself safe. And like the Pro XPs, they make sweet window nets for those things.
Yeah, I don't know how I would work that with mine because of the cage and the aftermarket doors.
People just sew the slack. I saw that on the forums.
I gotta find that
because I have my window net situation is subpar, if we're being honest.
I've noticed.
But
bungee cords.
My cage is dropped severely. So
it's low.
Yeah. So it's tough to find a brand, but I'm probably just gonna drop my machine off at Fat Matt and have them make me a window net setup. And then I think that's really it.
Do you think cages are required?
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Pro XPs are probably the only exemption to that rule.
Mm-hmm.
The Pro XP cage is a pretty nasty stock. But if you have an XP chassis or a Turbo S chassis, if you're doing anything that's not riding down a trail on a stock cage, you're crazy. I mean, I get mad at my friends all the time for doing dumb stuff on stock cages. That's the first mod I do to any machine. I mean, I won't have a machine I'm weak and it's got a cage on it.
What about, because we talked a little bit about tire setup, tire selection, long travel, lowering your machines, things like that. In your experience now, what are some of the things you're picking up about that?
See, this is the tough one. I'm learning a lot. The problem is the different terrains is definitely completely different setup. So like on the woods, when we did the woods race, I had my machine set up a little taller for clearancing through the ruts and stuff. And then when we went to the MX track, I had my machine as low as I could get it. I'm learning a lot. The Facebook groups have been like a massive help, and the locals that do race competitively have been like a super help. The tires is definitely seems to be 100% preference because no matter who you ask, you get a different answer. It's if you like driving a machine that's super tight, like you don't like drifting, then a more aggressive tire. But most people run a pretty loose machine. It's a side-by-side. You want to have fun. And most of the time, like you can four-wheel drift the turns and stuff, and it's really fast. You don't have to hit the brakes if you come in and just hammer through. So the less traction will actually help because the tires will break free. Whereas if you come into a bend really fast with a like meaty set of tires, you're gonna roll over it. You know what I mean? I have been dropping tire size, and every tire size I run smaller, I enjoy the machine more. So.
Really? What were you running at Blizzardcross?
32s. I hate 32s now. I started off on 32s. I thought they were the best thing ever. I mean, don't get me wrong, trailer riding, they're the best you can get for trailer riding. Smooth, crown clearance, everything. But when you're racing, the fastness, like the response with the throttle, with the small tires is so awesome.
Yeah, I've never ran small tires on the Turbo S, only 32s, so.
That thing's got to rip, though. If you put those small tires on.
Probably have to throw those 30s on and
Don't
just give
some
it a
people,
whirl.
some guys are running like 28s and stuff, right?
27s.
I'm pretty sure my first Razor, I had a 2014 900 XP4. I think that comes with 27-inch bighorns from the factory.
It's really weird. It almost feels counterintuitive because, I mean, we're so used to, again, going up north, hitting the trails, and I feel like 32s are like a sweet spot when it comes to the type of riding that we've always done. So when we're getting into some of these races and whatnot, and people are like, yeah, go on the 32s or 28s or something like that, it's like, it just feels weird.
Yeah, it is confusing. The no sidewall is awesome on the small tires. Like I said, you can just throw it in the bend so hard. I mean, I think you might have saw some of the pictures from when I went to Wareham a couple weeks ago, and the machine just eats it up so good.
Yeah. So a lot of these tracks are now having things. Anything else you want to add about Blizzardcross?
Get into it. It's fun.
Would you do it again?
I would.
Yeah, even though you're cold and muddy and covered in...
But, you learn, you live, you better prepare, right?
Yeah. Hopefully it can be bigger next year.
And hopefully next year there's like good snow. You know what I mean?
See,
Like,
that was the problem with both of the events that I went to last weekend is the snow was bad, so a lot of people weren't interested. And then you also not being allowed to run studded tires, I think was a bad call on their end. Because proving grounds, you could run studded tires, and that's what that stock turbo won on was studded tires.
Yeah.
And the Can-Am was running studded tires, and we didn't stud because Hemond didn't allow studs. So I think they should have lost studs. So
excuse me. It's interesting because I think what that track would have looked like if it was just completely covered. You know what I mean? If we didn't have all the mud and all the dirt, and that was in the track, because that really made the day.
Yeah.
And if it was complete snow, that could have been a different race.
Yeah, 100%.
So it was good. Do you have any other races coming up?
I think there's a side-by-side race. So right now, it seems to go into a bit of a dead season because everything's thawing out.
Mud season, technically, right?
So everything's going to be thawing out. I think Blizzardcross was one of the last. I'd love to go to Wareham again. I'm really hoping this Sunday they're going to do something, which would be cool if you guys came.
Yep.
I mean, that's like 15 minutes from here now.
Yeah,
that's close.
Yeah, it's close.
So Wareham isn't a sanctioned race, but they have a 15-minute side-by-side race every hour on the hour. So that's a lot of fun. You kind of just go out there and you can run your own pace. You're not racing for first or last or anything like that. You're just going out there to turn laps. And I'm really happy I went to Wareham because I was able to get comfortable and push myself across the day. It's not like when we did the race, we had 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, 30 minutes on, right? When we did ours.
Yep.
And it was exhausting because you go run a 30-minute heat, you got to come back, you got to clean your machine, you got to fuel up, you got to check pressures. You had a flat tire, we had to swap your wheel and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you're instantly back out there for 30 minutes. So it's like you're exhausted at the end of this. Whereas Wareham, you go out 15 minutes, come back. Then everyone else has their 15-minute sessions. You hang out at the trailer, talk with your friends, change your suspension. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. You're able to really figure it out. So you guys got to make it up to that. That track was really fun.
I'd love to go to Wareham.
The side-by-side, the jumps for the side-by-sides are awesome. I mean, I was shooting 60-foot tables, clearing them like nothing. There was like one small whoop section there that was kicking everyone's ass with a side-by-side, but go 5 miles an hour over the 3 whoops and to the rug again. Did
you mention 508's going to be putting out the schedule as well?
Yeah, 508 did a little sneak peek schedule, like a long-distance schedule last night on Facebook, and from what it seems, they're going to be doing a good bit of side-by-side stuff, so I'm pretty excited.
I wasn't sure if they were going to be doing side-by-side stuff anymore.
Yeah, so they said they are, and I'm hoping they do some big events and stuff. That's cool.
We should try to sponsor a race this year, a little bit later on in the summer.
Yeah, we wanted to get involved. We actually wanted to put on an event. I think we were trying to talk to 508. When we were doing the Larkin Motors project, we were talking to 508, trying to do a side-by-side event there. It didn't work out. There were different reasons, kind of things going back and forth. But I'd love to. Either 508 or even Wareham or any of these tracks, Cape Way. I don't care really anywhere. I think I would want to, we would want to put on a side-by-side event.
The problem is the big tires destroy the tracks.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's also another reason I was trying to get all my friends to run the small tires, even if I had friends borrowing all my spears and stuff, just so we could try to respect the track as best as possible. Because I mean, you go out there with a 32, I mean, you're digging some ruts, man. You know what I mean? So we should get down into a 28 or 29. You're doing slightly less damage, and the Bighorns have a pretty wide foot pattern at least too. So, but that's the biggest problem is the carnage that it caused, because the MX people complain, and then I mean, you gotta groom these tracks. They're big tracks. You know what I mean, it's not like you're gonna go out there and groom it in 20 minutes. Spend half a day grooming it, so we can ruin that quick.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think if more of these side by side people can be respectful, bring the proper equipment, and take care of the track, I think we'll be welcome to a lot of places.
I'd like to see it, because like we had said before, side by side racing isn't as big as it is out west.
It's massive out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. So can we kind of all get together and kind of promote it and get it bigger and get it better around here? I'd love to see it. Even in New Hampshire, because again, we're hitting the trails in New Hampshire. I'd love to see almost like a rally type race.
Dude, that would be sick, because they have the trails up there.
They do.
It'd be really nice to just close the course off, whatever, on a weekend or a weekday, even just be like, hey, listen, get some people. I'm sure there's plenty of volunteers up there. And just, again, rope off, make a little
6-hour endurance race, Pittsburgh and back or something. That'd be sick.
Yes. That right there. I mean, we would pay any amount of money to be able to enter into something like that. I mean, you know what I mean?
Think anyone
what does it
would.
take?
I think people would come across the country to race something like that.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine a mini Baja 500 in New England's
Dude,
beautiful, literally the most beautiful trail system.
Hey, funny story, right? So, I had the Turbo S, right? The Pro XP just came out. Like, no one had one. They just came out. We were riding up in New Hampshire. We went up to we were in Errol. You ever been to Errol? LL Co. It's like it's a big freaking sporting goods store. There's a restaurant across the street from it. So we park, we go in, we eat, we come outside, and I had my son with me. He was probably 9 years old or something at the time. And I was with a bunch of my friends. I said, hey, go back to the machine. I got to run across the street and grab Tylenol. I had a wicked bad headache. So they go over, and they're all getting strapped into the machines. I go over, and my son's like, hey, it's Travis Pastrana. I was like, where? He's like, no, that's his machine. And there was a red Pro XP parked right next to us, and the plate said Pastrana 199. I'm like, yeah, it's like, dude, it's some wannabe, some dude that's just some fanboy, And so we jumped in our machine, we took off, and then 20 minutes later, my buddy sends me a picture with Travis Pastrana. Travis Pastrana was up there that weekend freaking riding, dude. Yeah. And he was parked right next to us. Dude, I was so bummed, right? And then, not that long after that, we saw him at Nitro Circus. It was Nitro Circus down in Rhode Island, and we got a picture with him and everything. We met him after the show. It was badass. I was like, dude, you parked right next to me. And he's like, yeah, I was in there with my goggles on and my hood. So it was crazy, but
not trying to get myself in trouble here, but New Hampshire has great opportunities to be very fast trails too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe we won't go deep into that, but we make our annual contributions.
Really good opportunities to be 70+ mile an hour trails. So,
yeah, of course. Well, imagine that as a rally race.
Yeah, imagine
it's wide trails
coming
too.
over the top of the hill. All 4 tires off the ground.
That's the thing. I have no idea where to begin and how to start that and how to create that and who to talk to be like, hey,
the problem.
The thing is, Red Bull's running the events right now in the country. That's the problem. And they have the money, the swing, the political figures.
Can Red Bull? Who's the New Hampshire Rally school? Ken Block went there.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's not come to me, but there's. I feel like I should do it justice. You know what? I'm gonna do the research, and in the video, I'm gonna put it in the screen somewhere. But that school plus Red Bull should get together, and we should make some sort of New England UTV Rally race.
It would be sick. Berlin to Pittsburgh and back, the Warman Hut would be the starting part or
dude,
something.
Berlin to Pittsburgh and back, that's far, dude.
I do it every year, once a year.
Yeah, but that's a hell of a race. That'd be a great race.
It'd probably be 2.5 hours.
Round trip?
Yeah.
2.5? Pittsburgh?
You're doing 70.
Yeah, if you're hauling ass all the way and you're not stop. If you're racing,
okay, yeah, we stop and
because I gotta say it's generally 5-6 hours when we go there and back.
Yeah,
cruising.
Stop, you get
know what I mean?
lunch, you get fuel, things like that.
So if you think you're if we're being honest, nobody does speed limit, but you're respectful Like, you still shave some time.
If you
but
didn't have to be.
Yeah, you
and
could
you could just
definitely
rip.
make some time. I mean,
That
you
would
could probably
be-
get to Pittsburgh in probably about an hour. If you can drive and you can deal with the different terrains, I bet you could get to Pittsburgh in an hour.
And if you stay on like one of the more highway freaking roads, you know what I mean?
I do know. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a new race series coming out. That who was doing the side by sides race is at Cape Way and stuff like that. Whoever that was, I'm pretty sure they're going to be coming out.
NEA UTV.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to be
UTV.
coming out with a new schedule here soon. So I'm pretty excited to see that too. So
That'd be nice.
I think there's also new, the other one, Quadracross cycle or whatever it is. That one is you got to register and stuff like that pretty soon.
You know who's been
but
having a lot of events around here lately? Is 508 Bike Life.
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, the guys on the dirt bikes riding up and down the road.
Oh,
Really
yeah,
boys.
yeah.
Yeah.
They do events every weekend, Friday, Saturday.
Free too.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. If you're listening to this, let's just say this. If you're listening to this and you have any idea of these, people that we could somehow formulate this, make it a race, hit us up and let's do it. Yeah. So I don't know. I think we hammered a lot of stuff. Blizzardcross 2023 was a good topic, and dude, yeah. So would love to have you back on, and as the more events come and we do more stuff.
Yeah, and where can people find you on social media?
My personal?
Yeah, well, personal, business,
Whatever you
it
want
is.
to plug.
John Brussard. It's pretty much everything. Facebook, Instagram, everything.
And we didn't hit on it in this show, but Next Gen Parts and what else?
Freedom Parts Outlet.
And Freedom Parts Outlet, guys. Instagram, Facebook, and everything. All right.
All that stuff. And if you guys are interested in that, if you want to hear more about that or learn more about it, you can check out the Project Legacy podcast. We have a pretty long episode there. I think it was over an hour where we talked about a lot of that stuff. So hit us up over there, guys.
Awesome. All right. Take
Thanks.
care. We'll see you.
See ya.